Look, I'm going to be straight with you. The Blue Jays are in serious trouble right now, and if you're a fan, you need to hear this. Spring training hasn't even officially started, and Toronto's already got three major problems that could derail their entire season before it begins. Anthony Santander just went under the knife for left labral surgery, 5 to 6 months on the sideline. Think about that for a second. This is a guy making almost $20 million a year on a 5-year $92.5 million deal, and he's going to miss a huge chunk of the season. Again, last year he only played 54 games because of shoulder problems, hit a pathetic 175 with just 6 homers. Now he's having surgery on that same area, and we're supposed to believe he's suddenly going to come back and be the power bat they desperately need. The math isn't mathing here, but here's where it gets worse. Bowden Francis is done for the entire season. Ulnar collateral ligament surgery. That's Tommy John territory, folks. The guy struggled through 14 starts last year with a 6.05 ERA, and now he won't throw a single pitch in 2026. That's not just losing a starter, that's losing depth, losing options, losing flexibility when injuries inevitably pile up during a long season. And then there's Shane Bieber. Remember when Toronto traded for him at the deadline? That was supposed to be the move that showed they were serious about competing. He actually looked decent too. 3.57 ERA in 7 starts helped them in the playoffs. But now, forearm fatigue. He's delaying his throwing program. If you know anything about pitcher injuries, you know forearm issues are massive red flags. They're usually the warning sign before something worse happens. The Blue Jays are holding their breath right now, hoping this doesn't turn into another long-term problem. So let's add this up. Your designated hitter, who's supposed to provide protection in the lineup, gone until mid-summer at the earliest. One of your expected starting pitchers, out for the year. Your trade deadline acquisition, who's supposed to anchor the rotation. Question mark. And this is all happening before a single spring training game has been played. The Blue Jays open their spring schedule February 21st in Dunedin against the Phillies. That's less than 2 weeks away. Then they've got their regular season opener March 27th at Rogers Center against the Athletics. The clock is ticking, and instead of fine-tuning their roster and building chemistry, they're scrambling to figure out Plan B, Plan C, and probably Plan D at this point. Here's what really bothers me about this situation. Toronto's front office spent money. They committed to Santander long-term. They made moves to try and compete. But you can't predict injuries, and you can't control when guys break down. The problem is, when you're already dealing with a roster that has questions, losing 3 significant pieces before the season starts doesn't just hurt, it potentially destroys your margin for error. Think about their division. The Yankees just got better. The Orioles are loaded with young talent. The Rays always find ways to compete despite spending nothing. The Red Sox are trying to rebuild their brand. And here's Toronto, watching their designated hitter get surgery, their starter miss the entire year, and their prized trade acquisition dealing with arm fatigue that has everyone nervous. Management can talk about depth all they want. They can point to their farm system or claim they've got guys ready to step up. But the reality is, you don't replace a $92 million bat, a rotation arm, and potentially your most reliable starter from last year's stretch run without taking a massive step backward. The Blue Jays aren't just dealing with bad luck here. They're dealing with a crisis that could define their season before it even begins. And if you're a fan hoping for a playoff run, you better start managing your expectations right now, because this team is already behind the 8 ball in a major way. So my Jeff knocked tied to the rin the foul wide Collins.